All right. Hi, everyone. We're going to look at how to perform a factorial ANOVA using Excel. So just to remind you, Factorial ANOVA has more than one independent variable that it is looking at. It can have two or more. And then it will have one dependent variable. And the independent variables will be categorical variables, and the dependent variables will be using continuous data. Factorial ANOVA typically, it tests for main effects as well as interactions between the independent variables and their effects on the dependent variable. Okay, so to perform in Excel, there are some high points and low points. If you're comparing its abilities to do Factorial ANOVA compared to, say, SPSS. But to do it, make sure that you have your Data Analysis tab activated, which you can find under the Data tab. If you do not, go to your options under File and then look for add-ins, and then you will go to you will look for it through the Analysis Tool Pack and then click Go, and then you'll find it here. Make sure this is clicked, the check mark is there, and then hit OK, and then your Data Analysis button should appear under the tab. If not, then shut down the program and then turn it back on again, and it should be there. So to do so in this data set, you can see here the way it is laid out is the one independent variable is class type. We just labeled them generic titles, class 1, class 2, class 3, and then the other independent variable is gender, male and female. And one variable is running across this way, and the other one is running through the columns here. So this is already set up nicely for us, and you can see there are 40 cases. The one is actually accounted for the titles here. So there are actually 20 males and 20 females for this data set. To perform a factorial analysis, click on Data Analysis and then select ANOVA, two-factor with replication. Click OK, and now you're going to select the data. So click on that square there, and then select all of the data, including the titles, and go down and let go. And so this has actually, although there are 40 cases, there are 20 for each sample in our gender, in that first row. That is what this is talking about for the rows. So for each group, there's 20 actually. So we would put 20. And now we want to tell it where we want it to place all of its analysis. So click on this label here, and I want it to start the analysis here. And so you click on a square, click the button, and you can actually have it put out on a new worksheet or an entirely new Excel workbook if you want. And then just click OK. And now here are the analysis. And you can see here are the descriptive statistics for the males, the females, and both together. And you can see that it gives you a sum for all the males in class 1 and 2 and 3 and so on. And for average, that means it's the mean for all of those scores. And then it has variance, and the same for males and females. And here is where you get the different analysis for your main effects and interaction effects. So where it says sample, this is actually referring to the gender variable, the first one in the first column. Oops, well, that's good. And then the columns are referring to the classes. Okay, so the first one is a main effect for gender, and the second one is the main effect for the class type. And the other one is the interaction between both. And you know, interactions are why we typically do ANOVA or Factorial ANOVA. And since this has a lot of zeros in the number, it's actually giving us this kind of output. So the way to find out if this is significant, which for our significance it's set to 0.05 or lower, we need to tell Excel that this is a number. So I'm just going to highlight them and then go to the Home tab, and in the Number tab it says General. Tell it that it's a number, and here you go. Now you can see that for the gender main effect, it is significant. It's 0.05 or lower. It's much lower. And same with for the classes. So there is a main effect on the dependent variable, which actually are the performance students had in each class. And so there is a main effect between genders and a main effect between classes. But there was no interaction effects for this sample.